everyone, welcome to my shop. My name is Steve, and today I've got a video that we're going to look at. It's another time clock, or well, the other was a tower clock. This is a timer clock out of a timer. It turns the lights on and off on the building or whatever you want it to do. I've got it running right now. I've got it hooked up to a little temporary connection here, just so I can have the motor running. And it's running just fine, except there's some gears here. Let's see if I can bring you in here and show you this, what's going on. There's two little, if you're not familiar with a time clock, there's an on and an off, and you can adjust these around the dial face to whatever time you want it to come on and whatever time you want it to come off. And some clocks have multiples where they come on multiple times and go off multiple times. So depending on how many of these little doodads you got on here, you set the timer to the correct time of day with this arrow here. You can pull this up and turn it to whatever position you want it to start at, and that's how you would set the clock. Unfortunately, what's happening here, see if I can turn you around here. Let me switch off the power here. And if I flip it up this way, all right. Let's see if I can get you on the same page here. All right, in here, there's a set of gears right there. Now you can see that right there, I think, yeah. And they all turn at different speeds, and they're all kind of connected to one another. And the final feed out of this motor gear assembly here, there's one little gear right here. Let me get my finger to point to it right there. And if you watch when I wiggle this passing the finished gear on this side, you see that wiggle there? I believe what we've got here, the failure to communicate, yeah. I think what we've got here is a shaft that's broken right here. The shaft that's really loose, and it shouldn't be that way. So I'm guessing what's happening, because he says it turns on, but it won't turn off. Well, I think the turn on is easier than the turn off, as far as which mechanical force is easier for it to do. So I think we've got a broken shaft. Now I don't know if we can do anything about that. We're talking mighty tiny assembly here. There is a screw right here where this can be taken off, and I suppose you could reorder this motor and replace this motor if need be. And there's another two screws, one here and one on this side, that hold this on. And this plastic cover here is protecting the electrical contacts on the switch, or on the motor rather. So I guess what I'll have to do is take this off first, and then and see if it's actually broken, or what's going on in this gear assembly. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's probably a couple gears inside of this. So there's at least 10 or 11, 12 gears on this, in this one little box, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 gears on this side. So that's how come it takes 24 hours for this to turn go once around in a day. So a lot of gear reduction here, but the problem is right there. I don't know if you can see that. See that? Get that just right. You see this gear little brass gear right there, just wiggling to beat the band. So, don't know what it's going to take to fix that. Let's see if we can take it apart and find out. Okay, we have another clock here, which I was just looking at and comparing, and there is no wiggle here. When I wiggle this is solid. There's no movement except back and forth, the normal movement. There's no wiggle. This is all solid. So I am certain we've got a broken gear shaft here. So in order to expedite this repair, I'm going to just remove the motor off of that one and replace it to get this clock back up and working. Or the easier way to do it would just be to, what the problem was, they bought a new clock because they lost this arm right here. So I guess the simplest way here would be just to take this arm off of here and move it over onto this clock and put this one back in the service. So let's see, we'll have it. This will leave the light on till about 6 a.m. and it goes on. We want it to go on about 6 p.m. I guess, or daylight savings time. Okay. Anyway, it'll be on approximately 12 hours there. It'll just come on at 5 and go off at 6:30. Or is that 5:30? I guess that's 5:30. Okay, anyhow, this should take care of their problem. They lost the doodad. So what I may end up doing here is not only let's see what's wrong with this motor here. I'm gonna have to take this cover off of here in order to get to the screw and the wires. It doesn't seem to want to come off very easily. Let's see. Try that open there. Know what's holding this? Open this on here normally. That would just come right off. Okay, well, in lieu of that, I can go down through this opening right here and take this screw loose here. Yeah. All right. I think they say there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? That wasn't very politically correct anymore. Skin a cat, wow. Okay. Here's the other screw. Get that off. We got our motor free, and you can see the wiggle here now. Hopefully I got you in. Hopefully I got it in frame. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of wiggle here. So I'm assuming we've got something is not kosher, and I can feel it stripping. It's just walking over the other teeth. Teeth are jumping over one another. So, okay. Looks like we can just order a new one of these motors if we wanted to. Oh, well, there's a good made in Mexico, Mexicana. So, where's the other one made at? And this says replacement For replacements, specify model number and intermanic. WG 1570-5, and this is a -4. So, anyhow, this is put together. We take this apart, it's just going to fall apart. We're going to have a bunch of parts. We're going to have a bunch of parts flying around here, I'm afraid, once we take this thing loose. All right. Put this. Oh, I see. Push that. There it is. There's a little button right there. I was prying on these. In fact, it's a little button right there. There we go. Okay. Okay. And those are soldered on. The other one, the terminals are spade terminals. You can pull those off, and I think. No, I was wrong. Well, are they? They pull out. They don't look like they pull out. They just look like they're spade terminals, but I don't know if they'd come out or not. But we're not gonna mess with this one. This one's good now. We're just gonna take it over and replace the bad with the good. Huh. Something snapped for sure. And something broke. Something broke. Let's see. Okay, well, if we squeeze these two terminals, or two little notches here, what do we call these things? Ears. There we go. And try this side over here. Now, these little corner pieces here kind of bent in. Pull them back a little bit. There we go. Now get these two on this side. All right. I would say this should come apart now. I'm just afraid when I take it apart, it's all going to fall in my lap. So let's see here. Gently pry up. Pry this apart right here. And there. There she comes. See that move right there? Okay, there she is. There she goes. Okay, that popped off there. Let's see what's under this cover here. More gears. More gears. I need that. Okay. All right. Okay, so that, Yee doggy. What did that, it was like that. Where's that connect tucked in there. Huh. All right. That little doodad there. Yeah. That's the armature or the magnet. That's off of there. Good. Okay. And now you can see in here just a whole bunch of that's going to be a mess. We'll never get this back together. Okay, back. This thing came apart. I knew it would fall apart. And apparently, looking at this, and get you in here real close, so I can get you down here closer. Yeah, point with. Okay. Right in here, the shaft is broken off right there. And this is a molded plastic gear. And this gear will come off, these gears would come off if this plate was out of the way. But it's part of the motor and it's riveted on, and you know, I could maybe grind this away and get them off and then get this off out of there. But anyway. Okay, I had interruption after interruption, so I'm not sure where I was at on this, but this is would be a major time waster here to try and repair this when I can buy a new one for 30 bucks. You know, that's not worth the effort. And once you're done, it's still, you still got to decide. It still may not work even after you spend a ton of time on it. So I'm just ordering another motor, and I found online these little doodads that, what do they call them? I forget what they call them. But let's see. Tripper kit. These are called a tripper kit. And there's looks like there's eight of them come in the kit for 10 bucks. So that'll do the job. Okay. Well, guys, I thought we'd have a little more interesting video than that, but they're not hard to repair if you have one in your garage and never worked with one. They're pretty basic, simple. You got two contacts back here. One trips the lights, your circuit on and off. You got your power coming in. These two leads here for your, and so you can have dual connection there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. All right, continuing on. The new motor came in, and this is the old one. I took it apart, and unfortunately, this little shaft, it broke off. Goes into this gear here, this one here, and it's just going to be impossible to try and, I mean, it could be done. Let's say it can be done, but for the cost of a new one, and then you got all new parts and everything, it's not worth it. So I ordered a new motor and installed it. There's 2 screws, hold it in, drops right in, only goes one way, can't mess that up. And then there's a little stanchion here to hold the wires in place so you don't get them pinched in the metal. And then I had a heck of a time trying to squeeze those in there. I'm not sure for sure if those were in there originally or not, but looks like there's on this side there's a place for the same thing. But anyway, I managed to get them in there. When you look at the back of the switch here, there's these 2 pins over here are for high voltage, 220, 240. So if you're running 220, 240, then you'd use both of these switches together. But we're running a 110, we're just running a light. So these 2 terminals are not used. So you only use these 3 terminals. So your power, neutral, I don't know if you got it marked here, but it's this diagram, this wiring diagram that's in the box. I don't understand it. It's whoever wrote it, it must have come from somewhere in the country. We won't say where, but you know where I'm talking about. This would be your 220 load out. This would go to your appliance here. If you were going to hook this up, you'd have 1 lead here and 1 lead here. And they're showing the clock motor hooking up to number 1 and number, I guess it'd be 4 on here. And the way it was hooked up when I opened the box, it was hooked up here and here, which makes sense. I suppose if you were running 220, you possibly could run across this way. You wouldn't want to run 220 through the clock motor though. It's 110, so you may have to make sure if you are hooking up to 220 that you don't hook the clock across the 220 leads. But anyway, your ground goes to this green terminal here, and so you'd bring your white and your black into here, and then your black going out to your light would be this 3rd wire, and you would take your ground and hook all 3 of those together. So you'd have the white and the white from the light that you're going to, and the light from your power. So those 3 would go together, and then you put 1 connection right here, usually with a wire nut. So I'm going to take this back and install it. Oh, by the way, these little on-off trigger things can easily be lost. You could unscrew it and drop it, and no telling where it would wind up. You can buy these. I'll get you the information here in just a second. Okay, here's a picture of my phone. I ordered it. They come 2 packages, and you get 2 offs, 2 ons. And you get 2 packages of those. Now, one of these, it says will work with the 103, and the other one works with everything else. The off buttons, off triggers, they work with everything. So, and it was $9.89 I got it on a 29% off. So intermatic, and the number was 156T1978A. So there you go. Hope that's helpful. So I'm going to try and go over and put this back in. And the way this drops in, it kind of goes in on an angle like so. And it fits into just a certain little way. And you wiggle it, just hold your tongue just right when you put it in. It lays right there, and then there's a little spring at the top here. And that snaps in and catches it. So when you take it out, you grab the face of the clock, you push that little spring in, and it lifts right out. So you can get, I mean, it's so simple to take in and out, it's ridiculous. But there it is. Okay. All right. All right, guys, here's, gosh, I spent a lot of time here trying to figure this one out, but I finally discovered what's going on here. The way this particular one is wired up here, this wire goes out to the lights. And come on, get over there. Put this back. All right. And everything works now the way it was intended, but the light wouldn't come on, even though I had the switch in the on position, and so I took this wire loose, turned the power on, and then just touched it on there to see if anything. I couldn't tell. There's very little current going out to the light because it's an LED, so it's not drawing a big current or anything. But it wouldn't come on, and I don't know why. I mean, I didn't know why, but now I do. I went outside and started looking around and doing a little backtracking to see if somebody put a switch or something out there to turn on off. Well, they did. They put a dusk to dawn sensor out there. So I held my hand over the sensor for a second or two, or 10 seconds, and lo and behold, the light came on by itself. So not only do they have it on a timer in here, but they also have a dusk to dawn sensor outside. So the timer's kind of irrelevant. They could take these off, just leave this thing switched on, and just turn it off when they want to. But we're going to go ahead and hook it in here. I've got the timer, the switch is set for about 6 in the morning to about start at 5 in the evening, because we're going to be going on to standard time. Daylight savings time is going to go off pretty soon, and so this goes on there like that. And let's see, what time is it now? 1 o'clock. Oh boy, we're right on the money. How fortuitous. Okay, so we're in off position right now, and at about 5 o'clock, the switch will come down and it'll flip this lever to the on position, and then when this lever works its way on around, it'll turn it off at about 6 a.m. in the morning, just before sunrise. Sunrise is coming up, let's see here, let me look here. Okay, sunset here is at 7:10 tonight, so it's going to come on a little early, but even though it's on, if it isn't dark enough outside, the dusk to dawn sensor will work. So that concludes this video. I hope it was helpful. There's plenty of them out there right now. Used to not be very many, but I think there's a few more out there now than used to be. So, okay, hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.